Hello, and welcome to the Pandaemonium 1 guide. Let's get right to it. We're going to start off with a ranged pull on this boss. I'd prefer a jumping tomahawk, just style. But the goal here is you want to catch the boss, bring him a little bit south of center, and then run through him. It's textbook, just standard play on this. The reason why you want him a little bit south, this boss loves to reposition. He's going to pop back to the middle so many times. Real quick here, big tank buster if you're the main tank. 30% and bloodwetting if you're a warrior. It's the perfect set of mitigation. You don't even feel it. Heals you right back up. So you see right there how the boss kind of pulled back up a little bit north. If you had pulled him and stuck him a little bit north of that starting position, he'd have swiveled all the way around and then turned back the other way. Yeah, that's always bad for positionals. So it's just nice and consistent. Makes it look a lot cleaner. We got shackles going on here. Not really much to say. Just stay in there and mind everything. I'm not happy with how the markers are set up on this. The outside markers are very far away, which means that you can't really have good uptime whenever you're in range. That's going to be important later on in the fight, in particular as your main tank. In and out, obviously, the basic standard for all of those is standing straight north. But immediately reposition to the northwest side as main tank because you're going to take this knockback. As a warrior, I prefer invulning the first and fourth tank busters as main tank. It's so much easier. You can gap close just like that. Boss stays in the same position. Everyone has uptime. And if you have a white mage or an astro in your party, they can give you the big healing necessary to catch back up. So it works out a whole lot better. And then you still can do a full swap or a temp swap with your tank for the middle two. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to do full swaps with this tank. They felt comfortable with it, so great. Went through a couple of the left and right mechanics there. Not much to say. Just stick close to the boss's hitbox, either on the edge or inside it, and you're perfectly good to go. Honestly, this is a very boring boss to position. Unlike 2 and 3 and 4, where the boss is going to go wild all over the arena, this guy just loves to sit in his home in the middle. He's going to keep re-teleporting and dropping in there. We're moving on to Intemperates. This is the easy version of Intemperates as the main tank. You just stand there and take it, and it just works. Later on, we're going to see the other variety, and that's where a lot of tanks in DPS in static groups or dedicated raid groups might want to do something different. My recommendation is just keep it simple, take the damage down. Because basically my philosophy as a tank is if you are consistent and you can make sure that boss is in a great spot for everyone to do their mechanics and stuff, the less movement, the better. And whatever less movement you have is great. Moving on to the knockback here, this is going to be a full swap. So I take the knockback. You only need like Rampart for that. You don't need the full, your 30%. So there you go. That kind of shows you why, you got to gap close really quick if you're going to be far away from the boss. It gets a little out of position. Now, is this bad? Not really. But, it's not perfect, and we can do perfect. So into the Dartboard Phase, it's going to do the standard, intro to it, an in and out and a left-right, and then it's going to go back to the other tank buster. Watch my positioning carefully on this, because this is what I strongly believe. Whenever you're an off-tank on this fight, I always find it best, whenever you're positioning for a tank buster, to move to the east cardinal. You're going to stand right next to the little arrow on the side. Why is this important? Number one, it shows that you're paying attention, you are ready to take this tank buster, and there you go, boom, hit that provoke right in the middle of the cast bar. You're in the perfect position to run to stack, you're in the perfect position to run to flare. So you are in total control right there, and that extra visual confirmation with your other tank is just going to give you that non-verbal commitment. And again, back to this, again, we're not going to talk about these mechanics. If you're listening to this guide, you've already seen this fight or you've already seen those other videos. If not, go to any other guide on the internet. It'll tell you what all these mechanics are and what these casts are. It's very straightforward. It's a very, very, very straightforward fight. Once again, this is what I save Bloodwetting for. This is what I save Vengeance for. Just take the big hit and then roll on to the next one. You still have Rampart available. You still have Reprisal as necessary. Reprisal initially really started to be a big thing. You notice I popped it right there along with Shake It Off. that brings me to kind of the other big topic. As a warrior, my big group mitigation is Shake. Drops the shields on everyone. I save it for very specific times in this fight. I'll save it for Slam Shut. I'll save it for the end of Intemperates 2 if people are taking a lot of hits. Any kind of phase transition in these raids is where you want to drop that big guy at. Other mitigations are really good for other areas, and you're kind of relying on your off tank. All right, we're back in fourfold shackles here. Again, I'm way out of... I don't want to get off this marker. I know I can get a little bit closer, but that may mess up the positioning. So you never want to get in a bad spot here. And I failed to gap close in time there. That half-second delay moved the boss off a little bit. One of two big mistakes that I did on this fight for positioning I'm going to call out. This is not a critical issue. Everything's fine. Everyone can get access to the boss. Everyone has their positionals. He's kind of in the center. And more importantly, this boss loves to go back home, and his home is right in the middle of the arena. So as Intemperates 2 starts, whoop, there he goes. This is the bad Intemperance. This is the one that would normally require adjustment. With your static groups, if you want op time, you want to get those big parses, you want to see those big damage numbers, go ahead and do the other strats that are going to allow you to shift and move around as necessary as a tank. In Party Finder, just take that damage down. The more people are goofing off, the more they're going to miss this particular part of the fight where he's going to do the in-out or left-right. More likely they're going to stand on those middle pieces or not be in the right spot on the way back. Half the time DPS will forget. So, again, your job as a tank is to minimize risk and be consistent, and that's kind of the most consistent way to do it. You'll still get clears. You'll still get clears of the damage down. This was taken in week 3, and even by then, we can still take a couple of deaths and still easily clear the enrage. So by the time you're listening to this, the average Party Finder is going to be geared up enough. Your teams are going to be geared up enough that you're going to be fine to take a little bit of mistakes. Keep calm. Keep control of the situation. You got it. All right, last dartboard phase as we start rolling towards the final part of the fight. So once again, this here, and this is what I'll call out. This is the tank buster to invul. If you invul none of them and take it solo, other than this one, you're still doing fine. Now, what I should have done there, possibly gap closed, but again, this was that mechanic that was going off at the same time with the shackle, where a single color was going to erupt, and I had to be on that spot. This time I just chose safety. I stuck him in the spot where he was at. I'm going to do something really stupid here. Don't do this. Don't ever do this. You don't need to reposition him. He's just going to go right back to the center of the arena for the next mechanic. So don't, just keep it calm, keep it easy. Just hold the boss where he is, and when he gets back to middle, if he's out of position, you'll be fine. Things are going to get a little goofy here. This is where... in a lot of situations, I'm tempted to adjust. I'm tempted to run around and do stuff. I don't know what's happening here. Clearly, the healer and a DPS were not in the right position. One was obviously way off of markers and we're missing. That's not your responsibility to fix. And in fact, you trying to fix it might make it a lot worse. So at this point, if you do see someone that is way off base and other stuff, and you're not in voice and you can't yell at them, just stay where you're at, stay in your markers, do the mechanic right on your side, and then try to recover. Best option that you got. Now coming to the end of the fight, this is just standard. Again, don't get too far out of the hitbox, and otherwise you're fine. I like to try to hold them as close to true north as possible. It's an easy boss to do this with. All you gotta do is stand in the chain in the middle and do a little sidestep around the sides, and then move to these inner spots. Everybody kind of knows these spots now, though, and it's very easy to just follow the group. And we're just going to finish off the fight here. So yeah, this is straightforward. A good introduction to the raid tier. I kind of do like this fight, even though mechanically it's not really very strong compared to some of the other ones. Some of the later fights have more to them, both in terms of mitigation planning and positioning, as well as good tactics and how to transfer stuff. This one is really relatively straightforward. So there you go. Let's give out some closing thoughts here. So, number one, you're as a warrior. Again, I'm purely a warrior main, so I don't really know too much about the other tanks. But save that group mitigation for Slam Shut Imtemp 2 right now. The other things are Heavy Hand. You want to hold your Vengeance and Blood Wedding for that. You don't really need Mitigation if you need them taking knockback, but I prefer Rampart around that point. If you do the Invuln 1 and 4, you're going to have all your cooldowns up at plenty of time with easy access for your healers. Lastly, yeah, if you want to do a full swap for Tank Busters 2 and 3, that opens up the option that the other tank can pop their Invuln if something's really bad. So if you have a Paladin, good time for them, particularly number 3, because that can get a little weird. And then lastly, don't be like me, just let the boss reposition himself when possible. You should be good. Coming up next is P1S, where we have a lot more to discuss, and can't wait to talk to you then.